Alright guys, only a couple chapters left of Peter Pan. The Lost Boys are captured on the pirate ship and Peter's gonna go save them. Let's find out what happens. Chapter 14, The Pirate Ship. The Jolly Roger lurked low in the water like a waiting crocodile. The pirates sat on deck in the cool fog of the night, playing cards or napping. Hook could not play or rest. Distracted, he paced the deck. It wasn't that he was unhappy. After all, Peter had been removed and the Lost Boys were soon to walk the plank, and yet, for some reason, his happiness was incomplete. Like Mr. Darling, Hook worried about things. What he liked to call good form, he too cared very much what people, especially people with good form, thought about him. Whenever he did something or wanted something, he would ask, is it good form to do that or want such a thing? Sometimes he worried that it was not good form to think so much about good form. But Hook wasn't just unhappy, he was also lonely. As hard as it was to believe, Hook hurt. He had no children to love him. It was strange that would bother him, but it was true all the same. In a way, Hook envied Smee. Smee was the least threatening of the pirates, and yet the children loved him. Michael had even tried on his spectacles. Thinking about the children's preference for Smee made Hook angry, and he decided to finish the boys off once and for all. Are the children tied up so they can't fly away? He yelled. Aye, aye, came the reply. Well then, hoist them up. The boys were brought up on deck before him. 6 of you will walk the plank tonight, he announced, but I have room for 2 cabin boys. Who will it be? Which of you will come work for me? Toodles stepped forward. I would, sir, but I don't think my mother would want me to be a pirate. Would yours, Slightly? I don't think so, Slightly said. The twins agreed, as did the others. None of their mothers would approve. Enough, Hook cried. He pointed to John. You, he said, you look like you look like you have a little pluck in you. Do you want to be a pirate? Secretly, John had always dreamed of being a pirate. He even picked out a name. Red-Handed Jack, in a low voice, he now confessed to Hook. Why, Red-Handed Jack is a fine name, Hook said. What would my name be if I joined, Michael asked. Blackbeard Joe, Hook said. Michael was impressed. Will we still be respectful subjects of the King of England, John asked. No, Hook replied. You would have to swear down to the king. Oh, John said, his face falling. He could never turn his back on England. Well, then, never mind. Then you shall walk the plank too, Hook roared. The boys went pale as they saw Jukes and Ceccio preparing a piece of wood off the side for which they would walk. But they tried to look brave, especially when Wendy was brought up. She was the brave one. She emerged from below decks wearing a dark scowl. Are you ready to watch your boys walk the plank? Hook said sweetly. Do you have any last words for them? I do, Wendy replied in a loud voice. I have a message for their real mothers, and it is hoped that their sons will be brave and keep their heads held high like proper English gentlemen. The boys all stood up, a little higher, trying to be brave, to do one last thing for their mother Wendy. Tie her up to the mast, Hook yelled, and Smee obeyed. I'll save you if you promise to be my mother, Smee whispered to Wendy. I would rather have no children at all, she replied scornfully, even though she had to admit that Smee was the nicest pirate of them all. The boys tried to be brave as they were put on the plank. In the end, however, they were only little boys, and they could not stop themselves from shaking and shivering with fear. Wendy turned her head. She couldn't look. Hook took a step toward her. He wanted her to watch the boys walk the plank, one by one. But he never reached her. He never got near her. Instead, he heard tick, tick, tick. It was the terrible ticking sound of the crocodile. All eyes were suddenly on Hook. It was almost a sad sight to see a brave pirate captain positively freeze in terror as the ticking sound grew nearer and nearer, even as his claw hung inactive. He was afraid. Hook fell to the deck and crawled as far from the sound as he could. Hide me, he begged to the other pirates. They gathered grimly around him in the center of the boat. The Lost Boys glanced over the side of the boat to look for the crocodile, but to their surprise, they only saw Peter approaching. He signaled to them not to give anything away, and he kept on ticking and climbing. The end. Chapter 15. Hook or me this time. Only 2 chapters left. I wonder what will happen. Will Peter save them? Will they ever return home from Neverland? Find out